Folks, welcome on back and welcome, might I say, to 2024. Happy and healthy New Year to you and your family, and welcome on back here once again for another fantastic edition of our Traders Talk Workshop. For anyone that's new to our social media streams and platforms at Cyber Trading U or a new student inside our live trading room, my name is Josh Levitan. I'm Fausto's senior instructor here at CTU. I get myself on webcam collectively for all of us there. Great to see Abdul, Margaret, Leonard. You got Jeff, Raymond, got Paul, Kathleen, John, David, Adam, full house here. Great to see all of our students and members alike there. And like I'd said otherwise, on social media at Cyber Trading U. Hey, normally a day like today, we are not really too aggressive, right? We're more passive, at least with looking for entries and saying, hey, we're at least here. We're at least inside our live trading room and we're watching the market. But not everyone is. Not everyone's back. There are still some families, commuting back to their houses from, vacation, from New Year's Eve plans. And you're not going to get a real full market really probably for another few weeks, I'd say. I mean, I know you got Martin Luther King Day coming up in a couple of Mondays from now. That's another market day off. So, some families looking to take an extra weekend there. We do have earnings season rolling around at some point soon in the next, month or so. But today, we're talking Jan 2 here, first trading day of the calendar year. There is no need to try and overshoot your step or boundaries when it comes to following a stock. So, hey, for a couple trades that we were able to call out, this pull stock, Fausto at least called out perfectly timed. We know that this thing popped and took off. This became basically an untradeable stock after a certain point in time. But I will tell you, Fausto was extremely head on with calling this out when we needed to, at least. When it first started to make a move up over 6 and 650, there really wasn't a whole lot of volume trading on it just then even. But, it makes it a little bit easier to get in on the action at first compared to much later on. A stock like this we can cover here in Traders Talk. We had the C5, C4. We had the C4 stock at least earlier today. I jumped in on this one. This was at least a nice trade for us earlier today too. But hey, again, we got plenty of other days to make our days pay. Today is not the only trading day of this week, of this month, of this calendar year. So, hey, if you didn't trade anything today, if you didn't make your money just yet, the only person you're competing against is yourself. That's first off. So it's just to say, hey, maybe there could be something coming up. I just came off a coaching call with one of our students, Larry, and Larry's probably laughing right now because this stock C4 is actually pushing right back on up to my level, and there might be another opportunity out on this trade. I mean, momentarily, and just a little bit from right now. So the thing behind, I mean, any day, let alone today, coming off major holiday, is that we need to at least let the trade come to us. I always say to you folks inside our live trading room that every trade begins with the entry and every entry begins with a big level. If you don't have a big level to consider, then how the hell are you jumping in? Why are you going to look to risk thousands and thousands of your hard-earned dollars? Know what I mean? So, hey, on POL, as that popped up, I was a little late there when Fausto first called it out. So I felt a little uncomfortable trying to jump in as it was already popping higher. That's where I said, hey, at least before, let's see what else is moving. In the C4 was pushing up pretty nicely. We'll go over this trade at least in full. I'll go over this at least from the entry I took at least prior or right at 10 o'clock. And then really from there, what I was watching just a moment ago with my student Larry. So C4, hey, this stock, as you could see from the daily chart, this thing took off back 2 weeks ago. One of the best trades actually of the calendar year last year. TPST, C4, POL, honestly, those last two we caught at the last 2-3 weeks of this past year, which is pretty insane. So we're coming off a nice last 2 weeks, and this is one of the ones that really made a good pop, up over 1,000% in 2 days' time. So we're familiar with it because it made that pop, but it also has a good book. It has a consistently tight spread. It has orders at most, if not all, these price levels. So we know it's tradable. In fact, I think one of our students, Sam, called this one out even from Thursday last week. From Thursday, it popped up for us, had a good afternoon move. I remember getting in on this trade actually at that time. And the line that you see, pardon me. Well, the line that you see here on my 1-minute chart, I actually had a little bit lower and I moved it up over time here, but actually back on Thursday last week, if you take my word for it, at least there, I remember telling Sam and all of our students inside our live trading room that 586 back on that Thursday was a pretty big level, and it led to a good trade that we took. So it was right here when we started to call it out again, C4 that was this morning, and it was right at my line, and I said, wow, okay, well, Let's just check the time here, like right where my cursor is. All right, 9:56, 9:55, 9:57 in the morning Eastern, right? Okay. Got to ask here for all of us here, for Abdul, Gary, Margaret. Actually, Abdul, just check your email. I know my assistant was getting in touch with you just right before we started Traders Talks. Check your email, check your text. But that's where we'll say, though, hey, for all of our students collectively here, what time normally is reversal time? What time normally is reversal time? We know the answer, but I just got to make sure we're all kind of on the same page, right? 10:15 says Margaret. 10:30 says Gary. I like a little of both, like Joyce just wrote after them. So yeah, it's both 10:15, 10:30. Maybe could it be after 10:30, perhaps? But hey, we don't want to try and get too greedy, too cocky. We're not trying to get all the meat off the bone. We're just trying to get enough meat off the bone that fills our stomach up, that satisfies us. So, we don't want to be on the wrong side of 10:30, or we don't want to be on the wrong side of that reversal time. So when it's 9:56, 9:57, whatever in the morning here, even if I think reversal time is 10:15, I technically have 15, 20 minutes to try and anticipate more of a move up. Now, let me ask us here. We got a bunch of us that are brand new, but I want to ask our students that have been with CTU for a little while now, students that are a part of the phase 1, 2, and 3 classes. Got Gary, Margaret, Abdul, have Jeff and Charles and Barbara and Phil and Kathleen, all of our students at least here. Well, hey, do you think that 15 or 18 minutes, do you think that's a lot of time in this day trading world that we live in, or do you think that's a small amount of time? Do you think 15 minutes is a lot or a little when it comes to day trading these stocks? Joyce and Linda, Margaret and Charles say a lot. Gary and Larry and a couple of us do say small afterwards, though. So it is a bit of a mixed bag. And notice how I phrase the question, right? It's not in terms of a swing trade. It's not in terms of just being at your desk all day to watch a stock play out. No, I mean, hey, we talk about the 30-second rule in Fausto's Phase 3 class. In the advanced class that he teaches, and I'm in there too. We go over, hey, the 30-second rule. If it's not making that big move shortly within 30 seconds of getting in, odds are it's right place, wrong time, or right place, no time. And you don't want to be stuck holding on to that trade, right? Okay, well, for something like this, 15 minutes to me, especially in prime time hours worth of trading, that's a lot of time after the entry to realize that move. Again, if you're saying reversal time is 10, 15, 10:30, you're still in prime time trading. It's not like you're trying to hold on for 15, 20 minutes right now at 11:15 in the morning or at 12:15 in the afternoon coming up. That's kind of smack dab in the middle of the day. As we learned from class, that's not the best time to proactively be trading, let alone proactively just be holding on to a trade, right? Hey, if it makes higher lows and it's still holding, a good direction, then there is reason to hang on. But at least from 10 in the morning, 9:57 in the morning, that's where you at least add one and one together and get three, right? I'm kidding. One and one together, you get two. And with that said, obviously, once it broke over 586, I said, hey, let's look for that big move shortly after. We still have a little time here. And, it got us like 15, 20 cents. Is that a big move? Probably not for what I would, call big for a $5, $6 stock. Not necessarily big. Is 15, 20 cents small? No. By no stretch of the measure is that small. On 1,000 shares, that's $150, $200. And if you could do that in 15, 20 minutes, folks, I don't think there's too many jobs out there that are paying that type of salary, right? So you got to put things in perspective. Larry, my friend, this thing's running without me right now live. And he's probably cracking up right now with us inside our live trading room. But hey, I could try and jump in on this trade if I want to coming up, but there's also other trades later today I can try and scan for. There's always another stock that we'll try and consider later today. So unless if this pops to $657 without me, I don't mind missing a few pennies. But let me just tell you, coming off my coaching call with Larry, hey, given that this was a pretty strong chart level, at least here from 10 to 10:30 in the morning, it was just a strong top. That's how I realized that to be a level. There was no real doing with 610, 612 that led me to consider that as a price until this was built in. Okay. So the more that this can nip and gnaw this level here of resistance, we'd like to think that we could see potential continuation. So I did take this trade earlier with Larry. We jumped in right at 611 and I set a stop at 606. It was on half size. So when you think about 5-6 cent loss, that's like 2-3 cents on a full size position. So minimal damage, just didn't make the move right there. I don't want to be teaching a workshop as this tanks. So there's no need to hang and hold on. But it simply is to say, though, what happens if this stock affords you another chance of trying to jump in off that breakout? What happens if this can make a re-break above 612 or 613? You could probably inch up. And, obviously it rebroke it. And once it does, you want to see at least this type of reaction. It's what I was looking for initially with Larry and didn't get it. But, at this point now, you're definitely in a much better spot. Let's just take a look to see where our next resistance is, in fact. Actually, really quick, what I will do is break out the NASDAQ Bookviewer here. I should have had that open from the get-go. All right, so bear with me here. Going to get this up. NASDAQ Bookviewer. See, the thing with the Bookviewer that I can use, at least for right now, is simply the fact that, I could see other price levels out here that I wouldn't be able to on the Matrix. All right, going to try and finagle this here, at least to the way I like it. All right, so I do see a little iceberg order out there at $6.40, made up by 7 total sell orders out there, about 19,000 shares currently there. If I were to filter this out, yeah, 640. After that, you don't really see too much out there until really 740, 745, 750. I would say all three of those prices could be just a group of resistance. I say that because 740, you have 20,000 shares sitting there. You got 10,000 sitting 5 cents above it. And then 5 cents above that, you don't really see much in terms of size, only about 5,000, 6,000 shares there. But look at how many total sell orders make that up, 22. So all three of these prices basically create a web of resistance here, 740 to 750. So that definitely is a nice level or area to watch the more this does look to push up. So I'll plot a couple lines. I got 640 first. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. 640 comes first, and then from there, then 740-ish, 750. Just do that there for the meantime, right? And even if such here, I mean, hey, this needs to hold as support now. 613 area, just the tops here. That chart resistance needs to become a chart support now. So that's what I would say to focus on if I'm Barbara or Thomas, Larry, Gary, Leonard, all of us inside our live trading room. All right, so hey, want to start off at least by going over a couple different trades, the C4 namely from earlier and live right now. Again, whole theme of today's Traders Talk, we're likely going to finish up a bit early. I just know this from experience, been doing this for nearly 10 years with Fausto. Not Typically, there's not going to be as many stocks to focus on coming off New Year's Day, but at the same time, there's not going to be as many questions that get sent into Traders Talk this morning. So we do have a few. We have a couple of questions that we'll look to cover here just from students that sent them in just earlier. But again, like C4 from earlier, CDIO, this stock was choppy from earlier today. I was a little ticked off with how this ran later on. It was a nice swift move up later here, but that's the type of trade I don't mind missing out on if it was very choppy earlier here during primetime trading. If it's very choppy, if it's not offering you as much, then don't focus on it. And if it does pop up and breaks a new high, that's the type of trade where I couldn't care any less if it moves up 8, 10, 12 cents without me. But the more it does push up without you, of course, you get a little ticked off by. So that's where this trade moved up pretty swiftly after 10:30 in the morning. But that's where, again, my focus was more on the C4 trade from earlier. As long as you're in something that is at least netting you a profit, that is tradable, wow, I think this just almost head on hit 613, 615 line, held a higher low essentially here. So it's still doing a pretty good number. Nice little pop now on the C4. See if that 640 level gets tested here coming up. Now, again, really quick, if you're a student inside our live trading room, just let me know if you have any questions, not through email now, but send it right in the chat, and we'll be able to get to your questions before we finish up. Also, hey, stay tuned. Little housekeeping note, should have mentioned this from the top. We actually have a couple more of us in live right now, so actually placed to my benefit. Next week, 7 days from now, if you are a gold, platinum, diamond C2 student, you need to be here next week, but we're going to do a raffle, a giveaway. We're actually going to be giving away 2 separate coaching packs, one-on-one coaching packs with myself, just to kick off the new year. Myself and Fausto were kind of talking about it just over the last month and figured, got to do a little something to switch things up. And I said, hey, let's just do this to begin. 2 coaching packs. So if you are a gold student, a platinum student, or a diamond C2 student, you are eligible. So just be in Traders Talk next week, and I'll announce the 2 winners there. All right. Now, with that in mind, though, this is pushing up here. Let's go over a couple questions that students sent in. At least go over a couple different trades or questions that students had sent in. So this is one from Ravi, I think one of our new members here, and he says, "Good morning. I don't have much exposure to trading just yet, and I have no exposure to professional trading." Okay, so I think what Ravi actually just means with that is like, hey, he has no exposure to like a real system that was created by someone that is consistent, that teaches people thoroughly. When the word professional trading gets tossed around, let me ask, just regardless of your experience, you might be trading for 1 day. Anyone here trading out of an LLC? Is anyone here trading out of an LLC through a company? Gary is. Paul is. John, you are? Okay. So let me ask then, what's the one thing that you know then if you're trading through an LLC? What's the major difference when it comes to, paying for data, when it comes to maybe commissions on top? John says expenses write off. Well, yeah, but you're listed as a professional trader if you're running it through an LLC. If you're just an individual, you don't need to worry about any of that crap. But if you are running it through an LLC, you're actually labeled a professional trader. And that's where at least, hey, if you're on the NASDAQ Bookviewer, just simple old level 3 that we provide, or that's through the NASDAQ website, rather, it's not that we provide it. But this is $15 a month for non-professionals, which means like literally most people here don't need to worry about it. It's $15, you're good. If you're listed as a professional trader, it's actually like $74 a month, that book viewer. Look it up. So you're paying a lot more in fees and commissions and data and BS. You could write it off, as John wrote afterwards. Now, I only mention that here just at least so there, at least what professional trader means, all of us collectively. What Ravi means is like Ravi's new to trading in general, and certainly he's new to a group that teaches people how to trade. So, Fausto and myself, we call ourselves professional traders. I'm not running my trading through an LLC myself. I'm running it just individually. So, teach their own on what you call professional. Now, back to Ravi's question. Ravi has a determination to transition to trading from current healthcare profession. So, hey, we could say the same for a lot of people here, actually, in terms of healthcare, but in terms of any sector, right? A lot of people are looking to either go remote or at least make the transition towards trading full time. So, love that Ravi is joining us here. Been trying to accumulate knowledge for the last 3 months. I'm looking to get proper resources for forming the right framework for consistent good outcomes. Options and futures look interesting to me at this point with my limited exposure. He's eager to learn and implement. Feel free to ask me any questions you may have here. Okay, so it's not as much asking Ravi the questions, but it says more so to kind of guide Ravi in the right direction. So, hey, there's going to be a bunch of traders that are joining us here that are students right now. You're already going through our stuff. But you might be a trial member here and you may have 10, 12, 15 years of options experience before joining old CTU here, right? The way I was trained by Fausto 10 plus years ago, or close to 10 years ago, October 14 is when I started. So close to 10 years ago is that you need to be a good stock trader before you make the transition towards options. A lot of folks go into options because it is cheaper. The premiums are a lot cheaper compared to trading the equity if you're thinking about like doing NVIDIA or AMD. Correct. But just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's going to make you money. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's less risky or higher probable that you'll make money on that trade. There's a lot more leverage with options because it is cheaper. You could trade a lot more contracts in terms of that. And especially for a cheaper contract, if the contract premium falls off even just a smidge, yeah, if you're trading a lot of contracts, you're down a lot of money early. So if you are a new participant, I'm speaking to Ravi, I'm speaking to anyone that is brand new to trading. If you're, just joining CTU or brand new to the market over the last year, start with stocks. It's as straightforward as that. Futures, I would rather you focus on stocks just at the same time. It's easier to focus on level 3, level 4 order flow alike for a publicly traded company. Uh, Now, what we do train our students is to say, hey, what works on 1 share, 10 shares, 50 shares of a stock will eventually work on 500 shares of a stock, will eventually work on 1,000 shares of a stock. And then from there, that's where you're going to be able to realize like the chance to make actual money, not just like, oh, a little money here or there. All of us are here with the intent of trying to supplement our lives, correct? As much as we come here to learn how to lose less and how to lose properly, that doesn't pay the phone bill. That doesn't pay dinner at night. That doesn't pay kids' college tuition bill, whatever it may be that you're working on there. So we are here to make money, and you're not going to make money trading 10 shares, 50 shares, but you're not going to make any money if you jump into the deep end of the pool right away. So to kind of just sum up my answer to Ravi, it's I would rather you focus on stocks first. You're going to have an easier time to follow just the order flow. Now, if you're joining CTU and following the full protocol that we teach in our classes, that's where we'd say, hey, even if the thing is like $1 stock, even if this is like a very cheap stock here over time, what works on 10 shares will work on 1,000 shares. Market's going nowhere. So at least for a stock like SNGX earlier today, hey, it had a nice pop earlier today. Maybe one could have made some money on this. You just don't want to get stuck hoping and holding. So that's where you could really lose a lot of money trading any market, whether it's stocks and then especially options and etc. So, all right. So, there could be more I could go into there, Ravi, with that. If you have any questions following up from me, definitely shoot me a quick email, private chat me here in this live trading room here as well. I know one of our members just a second ago. If you see that message I just sent in the main chat, if you see the 3 dots to the right of my picture, my thumbnail, you click that right there. It gives you a little option of private chat. So for any of our new members joining us, if you have any follow-up questions that you'd want to join us or send over here, please do so. All right. Little housekeeping note as well on top, actually. How about this midway through? Just catching this now. And if you're joining us live on YouTube, certainly make sure that you click the link that's in the chat there. But otherwise, on a recording purpose as well, little housekeeping note, Fausto will actually be presenting on Wealth 365's multi-speaker platform. Be doing that January 15th. That'll actually be on Martin Luther King Day, Rich. Well, 365 is the event. It's week long. So I know that they'll be going from Monday straight through, even if markets are closed on Martin Luther King Day. But definitely take a look at that if you're joining us on social media. Wealth 365. Again, as a student, we'll post that there for you too. That'll be in a few weeks, a couple weeks from right now. All right, so actually, let's jump to that private chat I got from my student right here. So my student just chatted me. Hi, Josh. Last week, ALT was on our radar. Any thoughts on it now? This trader sold puts on it and got out this morning with a nice profit. Thanks. Yes, we'll take a look. So ALT vaccine company, when I just say that, I mean, hey, the stock has made a squeeze up for us in the past. And typically after a squeeze up for us, it dumps off. So go back 3.5 years or more, back to COVID era here. This made a big pop for us back then, made a big dump off after. Most recently here, made a great squeeze for us back in the beginning of December. So basically, this trader is just kind of asking for my thoughts on it now, just basically overall. So right now, today, yeah, I mean, it seems like a top is built in around 12, but otherwise, I think the gap is filled now, right? This had a gap. We were watching this really from the beginning of this, but we were saying don't hold your breath expecting it. The more it does push up day over day, there's more of a realization that you can get it. So that being like right around 982, I think that line was set at. maybe right here, like $10 basically. And even a little bit above it, you could probably do this as well. Well, guess what? It's way above those lines now, way above those prices now. It's actually trying to hold that a bit as support live here currently. But as far as the end of this run, wow, this thing like 4x'd, 5x'd almost in 3 weeks. So naturally, you should be expecting a pullback or some sort of profit taking, right? I just look at our crypto stocks. We love Mara, we love Riot, and all of the miners. We're still going to trade them on the way up in probably a few days' time or a couple days' time from now. But when you're telling me this stock 3x'd in 2 weeks, you can't tell me that there isn't going to be some sell off to come afterwards, right? Now, hey, let me ask us this question. For Gary, for John, for Barbara, for all of us here, it's kind of my new catchphrase, so you'll probably get used to this if not already. I'm sure all of us had a lovely New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And, let's say for New Year's Eve, if you do something, go out to dinner with your family, you might not be the party type. I'm not nowadays, certainly. But let's say if you went out to dinner with your family, right, for New Year's Eve. All right. You're in your driveway, you're in your garage, you have everyone in the car. Well, before you go in reverse and before you pull out the driveway, what's the last thing that you got to make sure of, folks? What's the last thing that you got to double check before you pull out the driveway? Perhaps before you even turn on the car. But we've been saying it here. You got to put your seatbelt on, right? So, what do I mean by that? Well, we got to have our stop set for any trade that we take. Doesn't matter if it's a long or short, if we're buying puts, selling puts, buying calls, selling calls, you name it. When we're day trading, at least here, and you could say the same for swing trading, but even on a more sharper point with day trading, it's even more volatile. You got to have your seatbelt on. So, hey, if the trade starts off good, and you don't have your stop set, then what happens if it goes against you over time and you're not watching? You know, you're out to dinner, let's say, no, but you're out to lunch, and let's say the thing goes back up on you and ends up breaking new highs. So you got to make sure that your stop is set. Hey, if you don't have your stop set, it's not just the fact of, oh, you're down. We all realize that part. It's like, oh yeah, if we don't have our stop set and it goes the other way, yeah, we're going to be down money. But you know what that means? It means that you're forcing yourself to go against your game plan. It means that you're not disciplined to stick to your game plan from the beginning. Another silly example or reference I could probably pull out here, let's say if you ended up just getting brand new furniture. Let's say it's the type of furniture that you got to build yourself. So it's not, it didn't come all in one piece. You got to build it. You go to IKEA, you got to, whatever. Well, when you're building that furniture, it's not like you're just looking at the cover sheet and looking at the finished product and just trying to eyeball it from there, right? Surely there is a step-by-step process that you're following, right? And when you're not following that process, or let's say if let's say if you don't follow one step out of the 8 or 10 or 12 steps that are in there, likely there's going to be a squeaky bolt, a loose nut. And, when you sit on that couch, it might tilt or creak or break, whatever the case may be. No one wants that to happen. So that's where I say, hey, it's not just the fact where we don't set a stop. It's like, oh, I'm down money. That's like the bigger immediate talking point because no one likes losing. But the more subconscious talking point that we don't really talk about too much is you're just directly ignoring your game plan. You have no respect for yourself with following a game plan and really a step-by-step protocol. And sometimes, yeah, you got to phrase it that way. You got to phrase it as bluntly as possible because that's just the ugly truth behind it. So that's where I say, hey, we teach our students here to put our seatbelts on. And I know for like 99.8% of us, you're doing that already because you know. And you know because, well, not only are you in class, but we've all learned the hard way. I've learned the hard way. Fausto's learned the hard. We've all been there. We don't want to stay there. So to the 99.8%, you're not really doing that, really. You're committing to your game plan. You're following that step. For traders out there, though, that are in positions and you're finding yourself on the wrong side of the deal more often than not, yeah, we could look into the entry part of it. But outside of that, hey, are we holding on to the trade longer than we should be? Are we not putting our seatbelt on before we're driving, let alone going on the expressway 85, 90 miles per hour? One thing I learned with moving down to Florida, man, these roads are fast. They got like 80 miles per hour is like the speed limit. So, I'm going 75. I got people up my ass like, go faster, Josh. With day trading, it's pretty similar, right? This is a fast market that we're in. So we got to make sure that we at least have that set. If we don't, you're gonna really get yourself in a tiff. And just last thing that you want to have happen is obviously for you to be down, but it's for you to at least have no confidence with your trading, no confidence with what you're looking at, right? I mean, that's a crappy feel in life. No one likes having that feel outside of trading, inside of trading, whatever it may be. All right. So let's get to another question here, actually, from one of our students that also just sent me a private chat. Do you have a sheet providing the acronym slash verbiage slash lingo, otherwise, that they see in one of the lessons, and remind me which lesson it was on? Thanks. So yeah, for the trading room, that is right. So let me see if I could pull it up right here. Even let's see, is it in here? Yeah, it is in there. Okay. So what I actually just did, I'm doing this not on recording on YouTube. So this is more pertaining to our live trading room. Join us inside our live trading room, folks. But for our students there, I have us on the screens tab right there. I'm going to have us go to the notes tab right here. And I think, pretty sure everyone should be able to see a note that is there. It says Cybergroup shorthand and acronyms. So what you need to do is go to the notes tab on the tippy top of the trading room. There's a tab that says notes. And then from there should be a note that says Cybergroup shorthand and acronyms. For all of our students there right now, do you folks see that? If you see that, let me know. If you don't see that, I want to let you know we just show this blatantly in class. We show this just in phase one, lesson numero uno. We did this back in September. So in the phase one class in September, it's phase one, lesson number one, getting started with CTU. I go over all of the shorthand there. So, just so you know, it's on recording for you at the same time there. All right. All right. Now, really quick, just so I'm on the same page with everyone here, everyone now should see my trading platform back up inside the trading room, right? Should be good back on my trading platform here. From Brad says yes. From Larry says yes. I switched it myself. You might need to switch it yourself back to the screens tab right there. Right. All right, folks. Hey, I think that we got like one more question. We'll do a brief like little search around the market there, but then we'll finish up. Then we'll call it. So let me jump back to my inbox. There was definitely one other I wanted to go over briefly. I think it was from one of our new gold students, Paul. So yeah, so a quick one at least here. Paul asking, he's familiarized himself with the TradeStation workspace right here. Really quick, just for all of us collectively, for any of our new students especially, we teach this in class as well. You don't need TradeStation to trade the way we do. You do not. You could use Thinkorswim. You could use Schwab. You could use Interactive Brokers, eTrade Pro, Webull. As long as the platform is direct access, you're good to go there. But if you have TradeStation already, then hey, it will at least look pretty similar to what we show on this screen. If you're the type of trader that wants to carbon copy literally everything, that's a good idea, not a bad idea. So I think that, if you're that type of person, then hey, getting TradeStation and getting the workspace and familiarizing yourself with it is a good idea. And that's what Paul's doing. He came across a part though on TradeStation's page here. It's called the summary pane, and it seems to summarize level 2. On the surface, this seems helpful. Am I misunderstanding what this one part of TradeStation presents? So what Paul is referring to here is, I believe, when I go to settings, you go to summary pane right there, and it pulls up this more odd looking, I guess you can call it, histogram slash level 2 window. It shows depth and it shows size and it shows spread, all sorts of columns that even myself, a bit unfamiliar looking at from the naked eye, right? So, when you're kind of dabbling on TradeStation, going through, you're going to notice that there's a bunch of different apps or programs that you may not have heard us reference or, teach or discuss. And it's because less is more at the end of the day. We already have so much on this platform. So, can that summary pane here be useful? Well, to Paul, it seems helpful, on the surface, but it's not something I really show or use myself or have students use. Um, so I would say hold off on it for now. Let's say if you start to lock in some good profits, week over week, month over month, maybe not day over day, but if you're doing it every damn day, then perfect, even better. If you're making money, then you could start playing around on certain things and testing one or two different programs or apps or components that I don't show, or maybe there might be an indicator you play around with on a given night where the market's not open and you're just playing around and you might fall in love with something. And hey, if it complies with what we're focused on with level 3 and level 4, certainly it could be to your benefit. But at the end of the day, there's only so much the naked eye could really like kind of incorporate and take in. Uh, Hey, I always say it to you folks. I'm not a robot. I got some people here saying I'm good at multitasking. I appreciate the compliments, and might say, yeah, I am to a degree with this job. I am, but if you were to have me do things that I'm not normally used to doing, hey, Josh, why don't you juggle a bowling pin in the air while you count backwards from 100 and you're spinning count? Come on. You can't multitask like that. So there's people out there that are way better of a thinker, multitasker, whatever, than I can ever dream to be, right? But if you're not, if you feel that you're not a good multitasker like that, then less is always more. You're always going to do better with less. You're going to focus in on the finer details of those fewer programs that you're relying on compared to being overwhelmed with, hey, this program, that program. The same applies for trading stocks. I'm not focused on 6, 8, 10, 12 stocks at a time. Who could do that? And I'm not saying like, hey, I can't have up 6 or 8 or 10 stocks up on a chart. I'm sure I can, but if you were to ask me, hey, Josh, are you able to focus in on the finer details of every singular trade? No. And I would bet a lot of money that most, if not everyone here, wouldn't be able to do the same either. So that's where I do say, hey, less is more. Focus in on 2 or 3 stocks instead of 6 or 8. Less is more. You don't need to focus in on, a lot of different programs when we have what we have here. Even this, like there might be some traders that might not like having all the charts up here. You might just want to have the 1 minute and the daily, not have the 5 minute up. Hey, less is more in that sense, right? If it allows you to focus in just a little bit better, makes you a little bit more reactant, hey, that's what we want. We don't want the opposite to happen, right? All right. So with that, I think that's pretty much good, at least from my side here, folks. I mean, I ran through the couple of trades I wanted to from the get-go. The CDIO, this one pulled back. Lower highs equal lower lows. So unless if it pops back up pretty soon here, don't be surprised if this like 315, 316 area breaks. C4 here, maybe providing an opportunity for me to try and jump in here. There might still be some time here for us to get in on the action. If this support line can hold at least, didn't move exactly up to 640. So if this 615, 613-ish area holds, we could definitely see a good bounce later on today. So there's that. All right, so folks, hey, I think that we're going to call it here for the meantime. Typically a smaller edition of Traders Talk coming off a major holiday, whether it be Thanksgiving from a couple months back or coming off the major holiday season right now. So, hey, keep the questions coming in. If you're new to CTU, just make sure to follow us and like us on social media first, at CyberTradingU on all of our social media streams and platforms alike. Just hit the subscribe button, the red bell, whatever it may be on YouTube. But either way, our next audio broadcast will be there at 2:30 Eastern, just in the afternoon. Myself or my colleague Rich will be, hosting that as well. So again, just follow us so you know when we're going live, when we're not. And then otherwise, if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, just scan that QR code on the top left. If you're not as fancy with your phone, just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream right there, ctu.co/trial. Join all of our students like Manny, got Leonard, got Bill, Leda, Adam, Gary, Kathleen, Larry, Brad, John, Charles, and all of us here. Full house today. Love to see that. Got another private chat just here, and I will look to write them back in just a moment. But folks, hey, happy and healthy New Year to you and your family. We said that just over the last week, but of course, if you were not there, then certainly one last time, right? Let's start off this 2024 on the right foot, on the right note. And with that, there's a lot more left to today. I mean, we'll see if this C4 stock can make can make a good move, or anything else that we scan for coming up. But again, I'll be back on the mic just later on at 2:30. Talk to you all soon.